Welcome to this video explaining the basic mechanics of European put option. A put option is a derivative that gives its owner the right and not the obligation to sell an underlying asset in the future at a pre-specified price. The option is European when this right is granted only at maturity. So we're studying now an interesting option here. The underlying asset for this option is Apple stock. How do I know that? Because it starts with a ticker for Apple, which is AAPL. The maturity of the option is June 15, 2017. It is a put option because of the letter P here, and the strike is $139. Today is March 23rd, 2017, and the share is currently trading at $140, so the option is out of the money. I will be discussing moneyness in a later video. The price that you need to pay to buy this option or the options premium is, let's say, $2. So what we do now is really look at what happens in terms of exchange between two different investors today and at maturities. So these investors, we have on one hand the long investor who is buying the option, and the short investor in red here who is selling the option. So these are different investors with different views on the market. So the long investor actually thinks that the share of Apple will go down in the future, and the short investor thinks that the share price here is gonna go up. All their prediction is made also with respect to the strike price. So the long investor thinks that the price will go not only down, but below this threshold of $139. So today, when they both enter into the contract, the long investor will be paying the premium to the short investor. The premium is $2 per share. So $200 are paid by the long investor in exchange for the right to sell 100 shares of Apple in the future at $139 per share. So are they happy? Of course. Both of them are happy. Why? Because each one of them is confident that the market is going to move in the direction they have predicted, in the direction that they have predicted. The short investor thinks that the market is gonna go up, and the long investor thinks that the market or the share price of Apple is going down. So let's see what will happen in the future. Obviously, nobody can predict with certainty today what will happen in the future. But what we can do is study different scenarios. The first one, what if the stock price is above the strike? ST here is for the stock price at the maturity T. What if the stock price is below the strike? So what we would like to look at is that what will happen to both the long and short investor positions. Will they be making money or will they be losing money? So let's start with the first scenario, this one, where the stock price is above the strike. So what we can see is that the long investor entered into an agreement to sell one share of Apple at $139, but the stock price at maturity is above $139. It can be $140, $141, $142, any value. So he will not be selling at 139 a share of Apple that is worth more than that on the market. So he will walk away from the contract. There is no exchange that takes place between the long investor and the short investor. What's the consequence of that? The short investor is going to keep the premium, and the long investor will lose the premium that he already paid to the short investor. He cannot get this $200 back. However, the short investor is happy. She's keeping the premium, and actually her predictions were right in that scenario. She expected the stock price to go up above the strike, which is what happened. Let's see what happens if the stock price is, however, below the strike. Then we have the opposite situation where the long investor is happy and the short investor is upset. And why is that? Simply because the long investor will be actually selling 100 shares of Apple to the short investor at $139 a share. So he is selling a share of Apple that is worth less. Look at that. It is worth less. It's maybe worth 138, 137, 130, 120. Who knows what will happen at 139. So think about it this way. If he is selling Apple at 139, we should assume that this investor does not own Apple in his portfolio. So what he will do is that he's gonna go on the market, buy Apple at the lowest price of ST, and immediately resell it at 139. So this is what explains that the long investor is making a profit and the short investor will be making a loss. More to come in next videos. Thank you.